Hello and welcome to today's conversation supported by the TAMS Joint Student Staff Committee on Digital Relations. I'm Jordan Allen and my co-host is Ben Wang. And our guest today is Mr. Russ Stukel, the Assistant Dean for Student Life at the Texas Academy of Math and Science on the campus of the University of North Texas. Mr. Stukel, better known as Russ, has a unique relationship with TAMS. He has had lasting impacts on the program and its students. We are delighted to have you today here with us, Russ.
My pleasure.
So, Russ, tell us about your relationship with TAMS and how you came to work in TAMS.
It's a long relationship. Actually, I started as a hall director here in the 90s and then just have been fortunate enough to stick around and been promoted into a variety of positions. I was the assistant director of student life, did programming for a number of years, and then was fortunate enough to be appointed for this position that I'm in now.
What has been your favorite part of working with TAMS students?
We say favorite part. I guess I have a ton of tremendous memories. Just some of the wackiness that students would do, that some of the mistakes that I've made, some of the staff that have come through here, just all amazing memories. Anything from, students climbing different buildings on campus to counterfeiting money to staff pulling pranks on each other. I actually keep a list, unbeknownst to many, I keep a list of staff romances, and I've got a list of all the staff that have actually been married after working in McConnell Hall. So, and you'll be surprised, there's probably, I would say it's up to like 15, 16 couples of just staff members that have got married. Students marry each other. It's so fun to see them marry each other when they go off. So I think my memories, I can't say I've had a specific moment. It's just this constant flood of memories, and every year adds to that story of memories and just connecting with present day students as well as alumni. I really enjoy that.
That's awesome. So you've had a lot of great memories. Have you had any bad memories or a least favorite part of working with TAMS students?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there were bad memories. I think, I guess, what we need to realize as human beings is there's always going to be ups and downs, and where you choose to put your focus is what determines your outlook on life. So, yeah, there's been challenges. I mean, I've had parents yell at me. I've had students cry because of something I've done. I mean, that's the worst feeling in the world, is to see someone weep. And those are burned into my brain, believe it or not. I've got one student, I can't remember her first name, but it was a young lady, and she had withheld the truth, let's say. And I found another student, this was old, back in the olden days, and had found another student that was intoxicated to the point where we had to rush her to the hospital. And so I went back to that other student and I said, your ability or inability to tell the truth or withhold the truth almost cost someone else's life. And I had no right to say that. And I think I said that out of bitterness. And thankfully for that student, she came back to me days later and just chewed me out and said, I shouldn't have said that. And she was accurate. And I appreciate those moments that students give it back to me. I appreciate the students' candor, believe it or not, because it helps me learn to be a better human being and a better person in the job that I am. So as far as bad memories, I think of those moments as moments for my self-development that I'm like, while they were painful, I think that's where I grew the most, it helped me do my job better after being kind of punched, figuratively, it was just like, they gave it to me and I was like, oh, that's truth. When truth hits you in the face, that's pretty hard. You're like, wow, I gotta change. So those are kind of moments I hold that I can go back to and go, I know exactly what that memory and that person, and boy, I learned a lot, obviously. So.
Have you ever considered a different career due to working with TAMS students?
Oh yeah, all the time, and not because it's an anti moment. It's like wow, you guys are doing such cool stuff. I want to do cool stuff too. And so there's a couple companies out there. IDEO, I think, was an older company that I saw that was it was a company that took products and enhanced them. but they came at it from a variety of angles. Like it was a story, old story on ABC once, and they showed it, and it said, here's what we did: we redesigned a shopping cart. And I was like, that's a weird task. But yet they said, here's the team that did it. And it was like a biologist and an economist and a structural engineer and a sociologist, and they brought those disciplines together to examine what does a shopping cart do in our lives and why is it important. And then the teams kind of like put prototypes together and then presented them. And I thought, oh, what a cool place to work in, where you got that kind of energy and intellectual power. And so I've often thought, working for a company like that, brainstorm ideas with my wife to say, go into leadership development or some kind of like extreme outdoor adventure. So then people would come off to your place for leadership development, but it'd be these extreme outdoor adventures. You take them whitewater rafting or climbing side of a mountain or midnight hikes or something of that nature. So usually something pretty kinetic. I cannot sit and be still. And so I've got to be up and moving. Being around students and seeing what they're capable of doing inspires me to think, yeah, what else could I be doing out there? All the time I'm thinking of different jobs, but it's got to be with people and it's got to be of service. So that's kind of the only two gimmicks that I got to make sure I incorporate.
So turning our attention to the food on campus. So what is your favorite place to dine on campus?
On campus? Yeah, while we're focusing on food, I think the best times that I've had in the cafeterias have been when I've been with other staff or students and we just start on some bizarro topic and we're laughing or we're extended discussions or in-depth discussions and time just flies by. So food seems to be the item that brings us together, but I think my memories are those moments where we're just laughing and being so stupid and out loud and just having a great time, those memories. So I would say, believe it or not, Mean Greens, sitting with Sam and some of the students. I've been in Bruce cafeteria with staff in the past where, we get to the point where we were crying, we were laughing so hard. And so love the food and Mean Greens. And I know intellectually that would be the better place for me to eat professionally, but I'll go where the people go, and I'll eat with the people just so I can be around them. So I guess if you nail me down, I would say Mean Greens.
So. How does TAMS compare to other high schools in terms of student activities?
Just with student activities, I was actually reading the summer read this year, and this might date this, but Range is the book we're reading by Epstein, and there was a piece in there and it talked about fast and slow learning. And I didn't realize it, but it applies to student activities here at TAMS program. And it's not easy, quite frankly. And it's by design, which I think is kind of cool. And I thought about it because it talks about learning that persists with an individual does not come fast and easy. And I thought about that with student activities. We in TAMS purposely do not spoon feed you guys, and we don't hold the hand of students. We say, it's your organization. Here's kind of like some of the resources, like vans and funding and rooms to go and guidelines as far as where you can travel and stuff. But what you do and what you accomplish is all on you. And I think students might be a little unaccustomed to that when they first come because they've had sponsors that have said, okay, you're going to be in the math club in this high school. Here's what we always do. Here's what we want to score. And it's almost like the script is already made for you in high school. We don't write the script in the academy. And I think that's where students learn to negotiate, learn to fundraise, learn to choose priorities, learn to commit to activities, and to handle these things on their own. I think we've seen this happen in the past, where it made me laugh, where our students would go to a competition and the advisors for these competitions would say, well, where's your advisor? And in our business, that it's usually staff, they're just driving the bus. And we'd say, well, we don't have a formal advisor, it's going to be the students. They're like, oh no, it needs to be adult. We would say, why does it need to be an adult? Well, they need to sign these forms. Our students can write their names on paper. Well, an adult needs to make sure everybody behaves. Our students are capable of keeping each other in line and behaving. And so it's easily to start recognizing where students can step up and allow students to do that. And I think the academy sets that up in a really proficient way so that students, when they get here, it feels uncomfortable, but you guys immediately jump on that and you're like, oh yeah, I can take my show, I can run the show. And I've seen that happen as well, where I've told students before, I was like, no freaking way. They asked me for something like, I'm going to go, the example was robotics a couple of years ago. They're like, we got awarded an invitation to go to St. Louis, and it was within 3 weeks. And I said, no freaking way, we go 3 weeks. And I gave them my list of why we couldn't do it. And they said, well, give us the reasons. And I wrote down, I must have come up with like 15 to 18 different reasons why not. And I'll be damned if that student didn't come back to me the next day and had an answer for each one of those. And I looked at it and she said, what do you think? And I was like, looks like you're going to St. Louis. I mean, it was that kind of ingenuity and drive. Whereas I see in high school, an advisor would have done all that. And I'm like, that's not my place, because I want students to be able to do this once they leave the academy. I don't need them to have an advisor when they leave the academy. I need them to run their own show, run their own companies, get their own research. I mean, that's what student activities kind of feeds into that feeling. So.
TAMS has a wide array of student clubs, but is there a topic on which you think TAMS students should create a club?
I would even pause to even, well, not even be that presumptive with students. I would, I really appreciate the grassroots. I really, I think students are a heck of a lot more tuned in. And so I would default to students and support them on their interest. I mean, I've seen philosophy clubs, I've seen ethics clubs. Who's to say my interests are the ones that need to be implemented with students? I mean, I would much rather join the students, because I feel like I learned so much more that way. Join them on their journey and play along. I think, the student would have to put up with all my questions because I have a curiosity that won't stop. So if a student wants to go in a certain direction, I'll say, well, why? Tell me more. What are we going to do with this? And how are we going to benefit others? And I think that's something our students do really well, is they look beyond themselves. I mean, initially they might come in with a certain kind of motivation, but it's like, if it doesn't last beyond you, then you haven't planted a seed. You've just stirred up some dirt. So getting students to bring an idea, to plant a seed, I wouldn't be that presumptive. I would just, it's not my idea that needs to come across. It needs to be a student idea.
So you've been here for a while. How has technology advancements affected TAMS and TAMS students?
A while is a polite word to refer how long I've been here. I wish I'd taken pictures when I first got here. We didn't even have the internet when we first started here. And so students would network their computers by running cables outside their rooms down the hallway. And so to get a big network, they would just run more cable. And it looked like something from a Star Trek episode in the hallways. And risk management would get on to us all the time. They're like, Russ, you can't have all these wires running between rooms and stuff like that. So technology, it's allowed our students, I think, to become more global instantly. It was just this past year, I can't think of his name too. He came to me and he was like, look, we got to have some extensions on curfew, Russ. And I was like, all right, let me hear your pitch. He's like, well, we're tutoring students in some foreign country on the other side of the globe. And it says their time is this, which means our time is like after 11 or after 1 on the weekends. And I said, what? And he's like, yeah. And so we're tutoring them. And I thought to myself, what the devil? Can't you find people in Denton or Dallas that you can tutor? Was my first thought. And then my second thought was, how cool is this, that we're tutoring students on the other side of the world. And so we set up a camera here in the conference room, granted them some grace around curfew, and said, knock yourselves out, stand in front of this camera, tutor these students in, I think it was in Europe, one of these small European countries. And I said, I was like, knock yourself out, do your tutoring. And so to think that our students instantly have that ability, and I think technology assists us with that. We've done fundraisers for countries on the other side of the globe. We've done outreach such as these, like I said, tutoring moments. So technology allows our students to do that, to multiply their ideas and to expand their ideas. I think it's just kind of a natural consequence of it.
And how have you personally been impacted by the change in technology?
Personally, I go kicking and screaming. I'm not a Luddite. I mean, I understand the advantages of technology, at the same time, I love a book. I love, I have books everywhere, and I write in them, and I love the feel of them. And so people are like, oh, digital readers and this, that, or the other. Um, I I I think technology, not to get too philosophical, is like any other tool. You got to be careful with it. So I'll just say that. I heard a young person say that I get my news from TikTok, right? That's your response. You start laughing. And I'm like, and I sat there and listened to that poor individuals, and I thought, you get your news in 10-second segments of people dancing around. And I thought to myself, oh, how unfortunate, and so when you talk about personally impacted by technology, I mean, I see the advantages. I want to buy a Tesla. Be honest, I'm in love with Tesla right now, so I want a Tesla. But I also see I will go slowly into the world of technology because I'm cautious, and maybe just because I'm old. But I worry about younger people just drinking the Kool-Aid of technology and going, "It's all good. Just drink technology." And I'm like, yeah, you need to tap your brakes and evaluate. It's not our panacea. It's not the deity that's going to save us. But it does get us forward. We just need to be careful. There's my soapbox.
And regarding current events, how has the pandemic changed TAMS and TAMS students?
Pandemic sucks. I'll just tell you that right now. The magic is in McConnell, and students not being in McConnell, it just robs us of that. It robs us of being communal. Just seeing you guys, interacting with you. I mean, again, technology, we just got on that bandwagon. This is nice. I can see your faces and we can interact. There's something about having you here in person. There's something about playing sports with them out in the green space, sitting around the table, having a meal. So the pandemic has really it shortchanged the class of 2020. It ripped off their spring semester. Everything from rose cutting to graduation to prom. It's screwed up the class of 2021. I mean, figuring out how we're going to start the fall semester, and so. And it's robbed the class of 2022 of a great beginning. Orientation, moving in together, move-in day, community service that day. So, yeah, the COVID nonsense sucks.
So let's assume, everything's all settled, we go back to our normal lifestyles. Is there something that really excites you about the future of TAMS?
The future of TAMS. Yeah, lately I've been interacting a little bit more with alumni and how they want to get involved at a variety of levels, not only in leading sessions, but donating money and coming back and doing things and those types of things. I think, believe it or not, as this blasted virus has permeated, it's given us pause to think, what can we do differently? What can we do more efficiently with maybe technology, those types of things. I think it's kind of raised the awareness of not only our students, but possibly our entire population to the value of being together and hopefully the value of McConnell Hall and the essence of that. I was trying to think of other things that I'm excited about. I'm excited about the class of 22, not to date this video, but to see who they are and to get to know them. I miss you guys. And so it's just, I'm excited, like I said, to get people back together. I don't like this Zoom nonsense, but it's what we have to put up with while we're here. So, yeah, that's about all my excitement for now.
So you mentioned alumni. I'm curious. So do TAMS alumni keep up with their same sort of innovation and passion that you see when they were just students in high school?
Yeah, I think what's amazing to me is how much, not how much, but how alumni, and this is going to sound really weird, but it's going to happen to you guys as well, how you age. When you leave the academy, you are locked in my memory as 17, 18 years old. And so a decade will go by and you'll come back in to my purview or to my life, and and you left as you're 17, 18, and you come back as 28, 29, something like that. And you're like married or have kids. And I'm like, whoa, wait. You're just 17. I'm going to be talking with an alumni tomorrow, actually. She's an attorney in New York and a mother of 3 boys. And I'm like, I'm just shaking my head going, when did that happen? You just graduated yesterday. She's like, no, Russ, I graduated in the 90s. I was like, Jim and cricket. So, I think alumni, she's an attorney. I've got other alumni that I've talked to, obviously in the medical field and doing fantastic things in the medical fields. In fact, I was watching a video. One alumni posted another video about UC San Francisco does this weekly, you guys could even get a piece of it, does this weekly synopsis basically on COVID information. And they did a specific piece last week that I watched, about an hour and 20 minutes. It's kind of like a Zoom presentation, different physicians, different experts in the field. And they did one on bringing students back to school. And so I was like, all right, I'm really tuned into this. I'm listening to it. And then they were doing another one on how we handling prisoners and incarceration, those types of things. And I was like, oh, it's interesting. Not that the two are related, but it's group housing, residential living, that kind of thing. And then they were citing reports. And as they're citing, they're like, oh, Dr. Leah Rorvik, his study is really, helpful in this area. And I thought, I know that name. And it was like a heartbeat for me to get on the database and go, what year did she graduate? And sure enough, TAMS graduate. So we're seeing students. I didn't even know Leah was a physician, but she not only is she a physician, but she's doing research in San Francisco, contributing to making a difference with this COVID thing. Yeah, I see alumni doing a ton of things like that, and in all variety of fields, attorneys, physicians, educators, journalism, politics. We've got an alumni running for, I think it's this a seat in Missouri. It's either a state Senate seat, but he's an attorney, and now he's running because I've donated to his campaign. So it's fun to see students all over the globe. One of the students that helped with the recent endowment, he contacted me from London. He's like, Russ, I want to do this, and so to me, that's just fantastic stuff. I mean, I stay in touch with a ton of alumni, and they're all doing fantastic things. It's funny because I contacted a mom today to say, Wendy Boy Brown retired, and we're doing this endowment stuff. And she's like, oh, I don't know why you sent this to me, Russ. I'm a parent of class of 2020. I said, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were related to another student in class of 2011. And she said, oh yeah, that's my son as well. And I was like, well, and then I said, well, what is he doing? Well, he's a physician in North Carolina, and his sister's going to go to Duke this year in about 2 weeks. And I was like, wow, and so it's kind of seeing those connections and networks come together. That's really a lot of fun. So yeah, alumni are just, I can't wait, because then, when I really age up and they can make me bionic and live for another 50 years, I'm really looking forward to that, when the TAMS students can operate on me and turn me into a robot. So that's my goal in life.
So would you imagine them as still 17, 18-year-olds operating on you when they're like giving you immortality?
I've had that nightmare, yeah, where I've woken up in the surgery and look up and it's a student above me, and I think, oh God, did we have a good relationship when you were here? I hope you graduate on good terms, that type of thing. So, where they attach my arm where my leg was, or vice versa, or something like that. So, yeah, it's sooner or later it's going to happen. I think it's just inevitable, just because there are so many TAMS students out there doing great things that I would think I'll cross paths with them eventually, and not even realize it. And think, oh my gosh, and they're like, Russ, do you remember me? And I'm like, oh my God, type of thing. So I'm looking forward to that.
I don't think anybody could really have a bad impression on you, Russ. But thank you very much for visiting with us today. And we appreciate all you do. We appreciate all you do for the TAMS community, past, present, and perhaps very far into the future.
Yes. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the time as well.